Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Doug. I'm a training moderator here with ADT. And here at ADT, you learn how to trade the market up, down, and sideways, thanks to owner, operator, and creator of our wonderful community, Chad Christian. He's been in the market for over 33 years. He knows his stuff. He's seen everything that you could about the market, trains us not only day trading, but also how to make it. Today we're talking about futures. This is our live futures broadcast for the public. And what we've accomplished today on this Friday was pretty impressive. We've got some really nice EWOs that we were able to manage. We're actually seeing a relatively full on right now. We've been watching this consolidate off of VWAP here for quite some time, and we're looking for some kind of direction on this at the day on Friday. So in this particular case, what we'd be looking for is a break and hold of the 200, bottom of the trend, middle of this trend channel downside. Now, previous day high, just underneath that. So we want to make sure that we're clearing these key levels to the downside. Some of the action that we were able to capture today on NQ and our other indices is we had this really nice move to the downside. We had this really nice move to the downside right off of VWAP at the beginning of the morning at 8 o'clock. Nice heavy pull, found its legs, got our push back up, capture where we started. Once we broke and held above VWAP in the 200, previous day high, came down, retested. This presented ourselves really nice entry off. We're take that further. Now the EWO entry in this particular case would have been right here. That would have been a rather precarious entry because VWAP being right on top of that entry, we would make sure that we cast all of this pressure here to the upside, come back, retest it to make sure that we're going to have an upside move, break and hold to the 9 for our entry. And quick little diddly about what we were looking at this morning. Not only on NQ, ES was much the same. RTY had a nice downside morning, but a fair amount of chop right out of the gate. Didn't really have any consistent move throughout the day until we broke and held downtrend and into the afternoon. What we were looking for here is a reclaim of our upward momentum, and we didn't quite get it. We came up to VWAP in the 200, couldn't quite hold it. We broke it, but couldn't hold, and now we're back down. A new push to the downside. So again, entry when we're looking at these things, we want to be the most conservative in a downtrend. We want to take our entry with trend, breaking key levels and making sure that we've got confirmation to the downside in this case, which means we want shoulder on shoulder movement and volume. Right now, we don't have a ton of volume. ARs are pretty low. It is Friday in December, which thank you everyone for joining us. If you're over here on the TikToks, please make sure that you type in your chat box hashtag FYP. Help get the algorithm out there for us. And anyone over here on YouTube, please hit that like and share button and get the algorithm. If you have any questions, let us know. We'll be happy to answer them. Other than that, we're going to be relying on the Zoom crew. Any questions or training opportunities that best to pull. Really nice spot. This As you can see, and we are coming down. Yep, so we're below all the indicators. We're at the bottom of the trend channel right now in coaches indicators and previous day high right here. I want to see break and hold below this high. Would be we can get any energy to get down here and start playing around with this bottom and actually get continuation to the downside. This could be a really nice trade today. See, we'll find some point support and resistance on the bottom of this and on the uptrend. So for support here, breaking support downside would be our goal. So either break and hold below today's high, or we'd be looking for break and hold above VWAP, which now for the indicators as close as they are together here on the minute, just to candles of patient. All right, do we have any questions in our Zoom group? Anything you guys want to go over today? Cutting out that on YouTube or in TikTok and
It looks like TikTok.
wondering if it's my okay. Reduce the audio bit rate a little bit, see if it catch up. Let me know if that sounds any better, please. Check. Hear it. Body audio. Okay. On and off. Well, the best that we can for today. Of what try that one. Test, test, test. Test, test. Is that any better, Punto? Test, test. Test. Yeah, awesome. Cool. All right. Need to increase. All right. So back to the 1 minute on NQ. We see that we've got our bounce response off of the bottom of the trend channel. Oops. Off the bottom of the trend channel to the upside. However, we do have to climb all the way through all these indicators. Good news about this is that they're relatively close together. As soon as we can get a break and hold above VWAP, we've got a little bit of tackle this top here, which oddly enough is going to be, if you look left, very difficult support and resistance through. Home level would anything above 25,740 to the upside would give you a strong conservative entry and away from all good calls. Can't break and hold above these indicators. What we're looking for is a break low previous day high at now. As far as entries, what kind of entries do we like to see? We like to see break and hold of the 9 to the upside or downside. We can. In this particular case, we've got our break candle here at the start, and we have our hold candle here. So that may seem like quite a long way to wait for an entry, but what you really want to do is make sure that you've got good volume past these here. And so any entry anywhere in here is safe entry, and you can stop captured. Way to the top, 128 ticks. Now 128 ticks on NQ at $5 a tick per contract. A little over $500 or so dollars. 8 times 5, that's $640 minus fees. Fees on one contract for an E-mini, depending on your broker, are going to be anywhere dollars, give or take. We trade in a couple of different brokers, Webull being one of them, and Trade-of-8. Some members still trading a toss brokers. There are tons of options out there. Pick a broker that fits your trading and your Trade-of-8 for us. Great, because for a micro contract in dollars, for actual E-mini contract, it would be $1,000. That important? Well, if we go over to TradingView, or I'm sorry, to Webull, we take a look at Webull's contract values. Over here on NQ, you'd be looking at, in the intraday margin, you'd be looking at $40 per contract. We're saving about $140 change by using a different broker. The real rubber hits the road when we're outside of the intraday trading time, which is anywhere between 9 a.m. or 4:15 p.m. for the New York trading session, where the intraday margin applies. You go out to any time outside of that hours of the trading session from 6 p.m. EST all the way to 4:15. I'm sorry, all the way to 9 a.m. It would be $36,000, $803.00. So in Trade-of-8, we would still only have dollars. So again, some of us trade in Webull, some of us trade in Trade-of-8. On the micro for NQ, $184 and some change, $3,680 initial market outside of the micro. You would only be paying $100 per micro contract. Yes, and the other indices, gold and some of the other commodities that you trade through Trade-of-8, it would be $50 per contract and $100. Very distinct advantage. Good afternoon, Just Sell It. Good to see you. Lunch in, Joe. Very nice to see you. Thank you very much today. Again, Mark McSee is out dealing with some personal things today. I'm covering the Friday show today. He will be back. We can see that our indices are actually getting a bit of a pump here, and I was talking before. So here on NQ, we're challenging this double top, and we want to see a break and hold of 20 upside. This double top area on 1 minute chart, we have broken above VWAP. We see levels like VWAP, a break and hold. Now, broken VWAP, but we're at the top of another key. Like to see pull back, find strength, then come back. Gusto. Entry here, again, above this level to the upside. So the only impediment to your profits then would be here to starting at 25,750 all the way to see that we're struggling to break through. We've VWAP, we just right on top of VWAP. Pretty serious pull out of whether or not this finds support out of these indicators do, then again we would be challenging this level, trying to break through it. However, overall trend today has been down. A couple of different ways you can look at that. Our relative high and our can't break and hold above the 50% of this candle, which is out, then showing reversal pattern. So here's a nice strong pull off of VWAP again. Continues to pull, we'd be here, and then finally support. Break and hold below 5.7. Good scalp. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, members. We had a couple of questions that we wanted to talk.
I know we were talking about EVO entries earlier in the break and hold of the 9. You just covered again with that one, but I'd love to see more examples as well. So bring it on.
What's your favorite ticker? Do M2K?
Yeah, I'm doing M2K, watching that with IWM. Yeah.
Okay. We are back down on support previous day high and NQ. See that this quickly here. Again, I would not be taking a trade at this until we've waiting for a continuation of the downside. Again, if you were to get in a downside trade, trying to trade momentum, you're getting wrecked right now. Buyers are coming up into the latter part of the day. 45 hour, where we see a fair amount of volatility, right, riding up to that. We might pull here, chopping around. Any kind of direction with Gusto would be
Doggy.
Hey, how are you, Daniel? All right, so we were charting this one out before and talking about where would be a good break and hold. We already had this charted out. Break and hold below that for any strength to the downside. See that we are still finding support off of here and the bottom. So again, break and hold below key levels, break and hold bottom, break and play. Otherwise, off the 9, short play. But again, this is risky because we've vision of trend.
Hey, Doug. Good stuff, man. I don't like the simulated trade, paper trades. It's not accurate. It's not accurate at all. You know, the
For
delay.
Webull?
Yeah. So I don't know. I might have to just fund that account and work with it. I'm not home right now, so I'm at the gym trying to get sexy again. So,
It gets sexy. So
so,
what I would recommend for you then, if you're struggling to find consistency in entry and exit because of the just the uniqueness of the platform,
yeah.
you might want to check out Tradeovate
Okay.
because I'm logged into my demo account right now. I can paper trade right through TradingView.
But
It's
how does
smooth.
that hook up together to
Pardon?
Webull? How does the financials hook up with Tradeovate and Webull? How does that work?
Pretty comparable. Your fees are a little bit more expensive on.
No, I'm saying, how do you hook I know you open a Tradeovate, so how does it hook up with your Webull?
Oh, it doesn't.
How-
It's a different broker.
Okay. So we're not using Webull.
I don't use Webull anymore for anything other than training for our membership.
Okay.
I pulled my funds from there and I moved them over to Tradeovate.
All right. So Tradeovate, I'll have to look at it.
Now I
Alrighty.
do like Webull for the widgets and the functionality that you get with it. The only real problem I have is paper trading does not act
No, it doesn't.
lays. Some widgets you can use, some widgets you so on and so forth. So I like the fact that I log into my demo account, TradingView through Tradeovate
Right.
and in trade.
Because I saw on the Webull, on the paper trading, I want to get in the bid and get out on the ask, but didn't have that as a selection for buy on the bid. But it have to let me know how to change that. It only had market and buy it, the ask, the market. How do I add that other, or buy it, bid, sell it, ask? I'm only practicing one micro contract right now.
Mm-hmm.
But is there a way of changing that?
I do market in, market out.
Oh, really? Oh, but you're not looking for a couple cents move. You're looking for a bigger move than that. That's why.
Correct. So in this particular case, I'd be looking for this to, what I'm waiting for here is a confirmation of downward.
Right.
So if I don't get confirmation of the downward move, I can take a scalp to the upside as a double bottom bounce back up to the 9, just a quick scalp.
Right.
But we're pretty heavy here, so I'm going to be looking for a break and hold here before I enter.
Gotcha. Okay, let's say you get in there though to the upside. Are you looking to take it halfway up the gamma candle, or what's your exit?
Yeah, well, it
Or you just
depends
gonna
on
watch it?
it depends on if it were to slow down. And right now, any upside move would probably be pretty precarious because again,
Okay.
this volume candle to the downside is pretty decisive. It broke the double bottom that been challenging, brought us near to the bottom here here on this particular. And right now it's just
Right. Would you let it go back to the 9?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd wait for a retest to the 9 because if it retests the 9 and continues to move up, then I know that my downside move was nothing more than a fake out. Right. But again,
And if you get a green EWO, you'll keep it going.
Yeah, now you're unlikely to see an EWO develop. So I'd be really be waiting for this thing to decision 1. And you know, I'll show you real quick if
Yeah.
what you're doing. Here's an entry to the upside. Take a long, put my stop just below here, okay? Because if it does break and continue on, I don't want to
Yeah.
trade, right? So I'm risking 5
Right.
points on M2K. That's $5. This is $5 worth of risk. This is double bottom
Okay.
bounce, okay? And here I am.
Mm-hmm.
There's my trade. I'm out.
At the
That's
9. Yeah.
that's my quick scalp.
How much did you
And
make? In that?
and that got me $1.10 fees.
Okay.
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 Now, on you want to do those kind of quick scalps on a regular basis? You really don't. You want continuous. You want a good solid move to the
That could be up.
that allows you to capture more of it. But again, in this kind of chop, it's difficult to take a look at any kind of trending when you're at.
Mm.
So again,
So when you said
upside momentum.
a dollar's right.
Or-
Sorry. When you get a dollar something to move, was that times 5? What was that?
That was only one
You said-
contract. Yep. So
Yeah.
as you trade with more contracts or multiple contracts, multiplying however many contracts you got. So
So
on
one
an,
contract
on an
gave you what?
E-mini, on an E-mini, that would have been $10, which, again, you're not
Okay.
talking about a lot of room there, which is why I don't typically take a trade when you're that close and
Right.
just not worth the squeeze or the risk.
Gotcha. Right. Gotcha.
Not to mention the fact that the overall fee for that is $1.98. So you have to, in 50 cents per tick on an M2K, in order to get into the money, you need at least 4 ticks.
So that was a losing trade? Is that what you're telling me?
Nope, it was $1.10 to the positive, $1.60,
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
right? So I covered my fees with the 4 ticks, and then I was able to capture another $1.50 or so
Gotcha.
after that. Okay. So again, it's want to make sure if you're going to be scalping, which by the way is the hardest thing that you're going to learn or try to learn, want to make sure that you're scalping in the most consistent manner possible. Best strategy that we have for membership break in. So over here on the bottom side, you'd be looking for break and hold. Now I've got the 55 right here. We are above the 9, and the 9 is across the 1, but I've got this indicator right here, right? I've got this thing telling me that I might find resistance. So my best play is to let that candle finish out and enter on the next candle if it shows volume 2. And you can see an entry like that. You can put your stop down below the consolidation and bottom of that candle, which your risk relatively low, and then you got a really nice scalp continuation to the upside, and you watching the 9 the whole way. There's absolutely no reason to get out of that trade until it comes breaks the 9 for a scalp.
The trade, right? The trade of you. Can you write up your sell stop?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You have to do it manually. Yeah. Yep. So once you're in the trade and you've got your stop, once you are green for the trade, you just move your up and protect the trade now. So
Now
Forest Head,
the trade of bay. I'm sorry.
Yep.
The trade of bay. Where do I get that? Who has it on the link? The link for
mean?
the trade of bay. Where do
just
I
go
find that?
just go to tradeovate.com.
If it doesn't, coach have a link for that or something?
No, we don't have an
Oh,
affiliate.
no. Oh, okay.
Currently.
Gotcha. Thank you.
And just to give you an idea of what that would look like, here's Tradeovate. So if I take This is a paper account. Again, we are fighting with VWAP and the trend channel and all the good things, right? So if I take my trade over here, say I want to get in with back to the, here's my stop. This is a 25 tick, 4 tick auto break even. So if this thing pulls pretty hard, what you're going to see is you're going to see this buy stop over here on trading view. Here's the trading view, right? You're going to see this buy stop pull down, protect the trade, but it's got to actually break. Get enough ticks in play, activate 5 tick pull and correct. In the meantime, if it's not going to do that and you're getting stuck because you got involved in a diddle in the middle situation, not to. If you're getting cagey about it, you can just pull it down. Trade is protected. I don't have trade for me. Yeah. Then I can come over to my Tradeovate account.
Yes.
Very
Yes.
plainly.
See it.
I can see very plainly that my trade is protected. I'm getting a really nice pull out of this. I can move my buy stop down too. Move it down to the body so that I give it room to work, right? If this wants to come up and test the 50% of that nice candle move to the downside or grid as it's bouncing on the previous day high, I can allow it to do that without getting stopped out. Now, if I start to see any slowing down or it comes down here, I often am looking at zones. Start it out. I'm looking at zones for support and resistance. And right here, I have support starting at 25,709. So as it comes in here, you see how I get that for that? I might want to pull this thing down and put it at the top of this wick just above the 200 because I don't want to give up all that profitability. There it is. Stop. And
Right.
now that trade got me $14.20. That was a $13 trade right there in one micro contract. So that was a 26 tick move that I captured off of resistance up here, pulled all the way down to support. And if I was actually managing my trade properly and not it, I would have actually gotten out right here because I know that actually all, and I could ride it on the way back up, back down, back up. All sense. Turn off the indicators. You can see how I've got my chart charted here. I do support is. Took the trade out of resistance into support, finished the trade down to a key level, came back, showed me strength to the upside, took the trade there. Bang, bang.
So Doug, you really don't trade in the zones. Like when it's in those zones, you're just waiting it for it to leave. Is that correct?
Correct. So what I'm looking for is strength out of the zone. And I think when I got into this trade, it was right around here. Hold, connected to here. As I saw it show weakness, protected to the level of resistance, showed strength. Again, if I wasn't teaching or doing anything like that, and these are folks knowing that it's coming down into support, I would have. Because at that point, as soon as it slowed down and showed any buying, my finger's on the trigger, I'm out. If it breaks and holds below that, then I can look for. That's channel trading for you and difficult. The overall channel that we're looking at right here. Here, you can channel trade that pretty successfully. Bounce zone, it's been time. And is the squeeze, how much of this are you capture up yourself, risk management, comfortable trading within a channel. But again, scalping is fast. You're in it for the long haul. You want to do a longer trade, then you're looking at success. That backbone of the trade. So again, here we are pulling back down to previous day. Whether or not this stays down this time is the question of the day, because we have higher low here. Trend channel on the 1 minute is turning to the downside pressure, but chop M and Q with an ATR of 36 at this time of the day. No bueno. Consider trading this. The reason being is that the ATR for NQ is really low. I prefer to trade NQ 60 to range. Also, trade it. Gets rid of a lot. So, cleaner look. But you can see how much chop around hitters this 100% touchstone. Let it break free of all of this before you. The reason being is you just saw we've got a hot dog scenario, as Ralph would say. The bun, the hot dog, the bun, constant candles does not show any sort of trend or direction. You want trend. As a trend trader, you want.
Hey Doug, what platform does Mark use
What platform?
to trade?
Mark is
Does he
using.
use Weeble? Or
Yeah. He used Weeble for one of his accounts, and he used Tradeovate, what he
okay.
just
Okay, gotcha.
trades micros with the group. So show the group how powerful micros can be for proper trade.
Gotcha. Thank you.
You can make a lot of money.
And how much money do I need to put in Tradeovate to start off? Do you know?
Not much, honestly. I think it's like $100, if that.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Hot dog.
Good job, Dougie.
Thought you were talking to yourself there for a second, Doug.
Yeah, I know, right? Incredible, man. Congratulations. Feeling it, huh?
So, Doug, what time do you trade normally for yourself?
I like the London session, personally.
Which is
in the later part of the after 10 o'clock, M2K or the Russell tends to pick a direction. I'm around 30-ish. Good time to get into an EWO or have some. Outside of that, London session is 2 a.m. all the way to 11. It overlaps.
okay. Thank you.
Okay. So one of our members had, and can you remind me where?
Right. Well, I apologize because it wasn't actually futures. It was on the apples, but I know like you guys scout. So I was like, it was actually Apple yesterday at 1430-ish, right around there. So I apologize that it's not a futures chart. I just run into this all the time, and I was like, I need to ask Doug.
EWO is EWO is EWO. Chart is a chart is a chart. It doesn't matter. crypto. So
But-
what time did you want?
It's
Yesterday.
yesterday at 14:45. So yeah. So what is that? 2:45 Eastern. It was on the 1 minute. I was scalping, just FYI.
Oh, okay.
Hit to go back. Sorry. So 14:25. It's right after that. It's right after that. It's right. Yeah, you're on it pretty much right there. Sorry, you
we go.
passed it right there. Yeah, right in that area. Well, the part that I had the question about is right at.
That would be your,
I wasn't EOing. I was scalping, just FYI. And so that's where I was kind of like.
okay.
And so I was more just kind of like when I was in the scalping mindset, I'm like, when is it? I see this all the time where I maybe get in on the break of the 9, but I took profits and it keeps running, and I'm like, oh, now we're consolidating. It's coming back up to that 9. When do I get in? And that's
So
where I.
break and hold, and then retest. Break of key level, retest. So it looks like. Okay. So this was your entry then? 1425? 1440?
I didn't even get in. I was more just like, because I didn't know when to get into it is where and that's why I brought the whole question up, because I saw it consolidating and I knew it was like, hey, this is up, going up. I just don't know confidently how to execute it.
This one is tricky, in several reasons. I learned about a break or a scalp. Let me get... So on this particular one, your break and hold of the 9 for a scalp is actually
Right.
you have the there, you've got this top here, right?
Right. And that's where, I apologize, I didn't interrupt you. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was like, that's where I took my profit at initially. And then it kept running. And I'm like, hey, this sucker coming back up. And I was like, and I believe I heard Coach and some of the people talk about like, hey, you want to, when that 9 comes back and touches, they get back in for another entry. And I'm like, I suck at that. And so I'm trying to figure out what I could do to get better at that. Where it touches the 9 and then they get back in for reentry. And so that's where I was more questioning, because it never touched the 9. Like in hindsight, you looking at it, it does, but not when it's developing. It never touches.
Right. So in this particular case, we can actually as we were coming into right, here's your break. The real challenge right now. The real challenge, particular one, not only are you breaking the trying to scalp into counter trend into a downward trend.
Right.
So you're going to have distance, top here, that. As you're moving up through this area, that's the only thing that you'd really be working on. And a break and hold of the 9 right here with a 9 crossing 1 with a 50 and the top.
Good to know. I did, but good to know I should be more cautious.
So again, being ultra conservative, right? Because we're not here to lose money. I want to make sure that I've got good, solid break and trend change. As this comes down and retests 9, are we going to get that bump? Now we were actually EWO trading, be the start of the year. Still very challenging to even get into an EWO trade. Why? Because
With that 200
right here,
for sure.
we could get a heavy pull off of that. right smack in the middle of consolidation. So lots of red flags with this particular one.
For sure. I guess my my big question isn't critiquing the whole trade. It's more just saying, like, flip it. Let's just flip it around and say, hey, let's pretend 200's below it and VWAP's up below it. You know, and the indicators are all below. How I more just want to, like, when you're getting into a off the 9 type of trade, that's really what all I was trying to get feedback on and understand, because I see that happen a lot where it consolidates and the 9 it doesn't touch the 9, but then rips off and I miss a move. Like, it happens a lot in pre-market when hot stock or something like that.
Oh, yeah. So ideally, when you're looking at scalping off the 9, you want to make sure that you are going to take a scalp off the 9. You've got room for it to run without too much impedance. So in between indicators makes it kind of challenging, but the 200 is far enough away at this point that you're 60 cents on a stock like.
For sure.
So, you got tons of room to actually make good money on an indice, because of what can happen through variation zones. I really super cautious, cagey. I want to see key indicators like the 200 and some tops and heavy consensus. So I'm starting to look at and none of this. 200 and the trend channel. As we move this through, there's your retest of the 9 and entry anywhere here, just below the 200 and where it consolidated. Stop tight because pull at any time.
I see what you're saying.
Especially as
Right.
so the tighter you are to a key level of support and resistance, and a good push to the upside, that gives you some confidence. So once you get some space, you move your stop up, protect your trade. Now let it do its thing. Work.
I see what you're saying. No, I see how you're saying, hey, wait, don't get in the consolidation area, wait for it to break out a little bit more and then come back up to 9 again. You're feeling that way, you have a little more headroom and not so much stuff in front of you.
And you can see as it's working through this, the trend channel is starting to flatten out.
Right.
So that tells me again, strength in the move there. Here's our read of what? Breakout of? A retest. Nine. Again. What did we just break? Double top. Break the double top with some gusto. You can see how the trend channel is moving to the upside. It has changed. Now the scalp off the 200, the upside.
Mm-hmm. I see what you're saying.
Right here is your exit as it breaks and holds below the 9. Or if you start to see weakness, okay, because you're at the top of the channel and you're awfully close to VWAP, if I were to start to see any weakness, likely either shed here if I was cracks.
Right. Yeah. Usually I'm out right when it goes hitting that 200 or the VWAP when those major zones. I usually try to get out. Now, would you? Because okay, I was gonna say, like, on the on the bounce back, do you watch would you get on that break and hold here where it goes to
Mhm.
21 and then breaks back through?
Yep. I'd want to see a break and hold at 9, right? Because I've got it's shown me that this is going to act like support. It came back, retested support once, back again. And again, where is that support coming from?
Gotcha.
Sometimes if you're really zoomed into the candles, I know Coach is a candle scalper, right? He'll scalp single candles. For me, if I'm looking at entry criteria and so on, I want to make sure that I've got at least a little bit of view to the left or zoom out where my at for immediate hit. Coach scalp candles, zooms. He's 100% trading. You'll get this stuff. And typically what you'll see on Coach's screen is nothing more. Scalp mode. So what he's looking for is as this comes down, checks the 9. If he sees any kind of momentum coming off the 9, he'll get in. If at all this candle stops or pulls back, halts, or he's trailing his stop about halfway up the candle, letting it do its thing to let it breathe. It's pause it all and any weakness.
Yeah, excellent. When somebody does that type of strategy, I'm assuming they're going a little bit more heavier, so that those moves can make it, make some money.
Me
Gotcha.
personally, I'm typically in these kind of moves. I'm typically 1 or 2 because I do like to shed and I like to protect and leave in case. So
Gotcha.
in off the 9, right? If I see any kind of pullback, I might shed, depending on what this looks like. And when you're back testing, see how the candles breathe. Kind of a move. They're quarterbacking a scalp when you candles right. What you're not seeing, something like happening.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, you totally answered my question, so I really appreciate that's.
So yeah, what we're not seeing is we're not seeing all of this breathing and popping up. Do you trust your indicator? A nice up move.
I don't.
Coming
Just
down
let you
in
know,
it.
I don't see your chart.
See here. There you go. So in Trade of 8 right now, we're seeing the actual candle movement. So is this coming down to find support or is this pulling on VWAP again?
Right.
Look at the
Apple's on screen.
Look at the engulfing candle to the Zoom should be able to see Trade of 8.
It's Apple.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. I see Trade of 8 right now.
See it now? Gopher?
Oh, it's still Apple.
I see, Doug, just let you know, I see Trade of 8. Just
Yeah, I see Trade of 8.
Might be. Are you on the social, Gopher?
Well, I'm on the Zoom.
The heck of. So, you can see the breathing of the candle, and when you're over here in trading view and you're back testing, as these breathe up and down, if you're not managing your emotions, you're managing you, which trade, right? So scalp entry here.
sure.
This is the entry on the scalp for me as it breathes back. Did not breathe back more than 50% candle and found support off recent. Definitely.
Okay. So you don't catch it right. You wouldn't get in right when it touches the 9. You're getting confirmation that there's an upward momentum, and then the candle closes and you're seeing what it does next.
Correct.
Gotcha. I just
Because
need to be more
this
patient.
one candle could have done, it broke this key level, right? Closed nice and strong, barely any wick on the top, barely any wick on the bottom, so wrong buying candle. Now, in order for me to get into a trade here, I want to see it break and hold a level, not even looking left. Looking left, there's a reason why it's better here. This next candle, if this were to, because it started not on the shoulder, didn't show strength to the upside. The thing that gave me positive vibes about that not only do we have a buyer's wick, but it didn't break into too far into found in my.
So does that mean when that second candle opened there, that the one that you would have got in on, when you saw it pull back and then pop real hard, like you see buyers stepping in, are you saying like right away that would have given you confirmation you're in? Are you waiting? I'm assuming you're not waiting for that candle to close. Is where I'm getting at.
Which candle?
The one that you entered on, because you had the candle
No,
that
I'm
shot
not,
up.
no, not waiting for this candle. Not at all.
So you're just kind of waiting. You see it pull back. You saw the buyer step in, so it popped up a little bit, and you're like, "Oh yeah, I'm in." Or is that how you're looking at it?
Correct.
Awesome. No, that helps me out a lot.
So I want to see a good hard close on this candle above consolidation. I got it. This one started a little bit weak, so I'm not entering yet. I'm waiting because if it could pull back, test the
Yes, it can.
9, and then come down here and try and tackle this.
Right. No, I've seen that happen to me a couple times.
It absolutely happened to me a few times too, which is why now when I'm looking at entries, especially scalp entries, every time you're scalping, you got risk on the table.
Right.
So I'm looking for strength, and once this thing stopped, wicked, buyer in, top is here. The 9 below the wick of the candle. This was a decisive move. This is now the controlling candle of this area, and I'm using that backbone.
Mm-hmm.
So at this particular point, once I get some coverage, if I'm in a scalp, I'll take my stop and I'll move it up a bit above my position to cover the fees. I want to keep it below a level because this is another large candle. I'm going to be watching for strength at the 50% mark. Sure that this show the strength still.
Yeah.
At that
Gotcha.
point, again, looking at this one, we have no wick, barely any wick on the top, so massive buying up into barely any wick, no breathe back 50%, and no wick at the top. Strong. I'm really excited. I'm in down here. I'm in like Flynn. I'm protected. This thing ripping. Then I get this sucker. Now, doji is nothing more than indecision. Could be red, could be green. It doesn't matter the color. It's just indecision. It means that they were fighting over price here and nobody won. In the buyers and sellers. So I'm patiently waiting. If I've got multiple contracts and my buy position is here, my stop is below this body here, I've got all kinds of time to make a decision, but I don't want to give up a ton of profitability here. So what I'm looking for here is either consolidation or strength to the upside. Now this did come down below 50% that overall candle, and we got a body below shoulder start with no buyers. No wick to the
sellers. Yeah.
This thing started here and just said, no, I don't want to be up here anymore. So Up here is a great place to shed and manage your trade from there. And if it breaks down below the 200, you can see here that we probably would have been wicked out. Contract, at that point, the contract sitting down here is the run free. We already collected our. I like to get in with a couple of contracts, shed and leave a runner, just if I can get it
Right.
to
Get some
catch and
extras.
get a run.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
So no trade to the downside. I'm waiting for it to find support, right? Because there's no way that I want to take a counter trend scalp in a massive move to the upside. I'm going to let it figure itself out. Once it comes down, I'm looking for support off of this, okay? Because this is where we had our last hard stop and push. And if I find any support, then I could be looking at, here's a buyer's wick. Buyer's wick. The 1 is now starting to curl up. The 9 is starting to curl up. They're all great signs, right?
Right. Usually what I worry about though is that, yeah, is
Reason
that
why.
because oh, go ahead. I'm
Reason
sorry.
why I say that, if you got 2 buyer's wick, as you're coming back up into this move, there's a pattern developed. Have resistance.
Right. I've been hit by that so many times.
So again, you want that break and hold above the 9, and you've got the break, you have the hold, but it's red candle selling off, so not show strength to the.
Gotcha.
Okay. Moving on to the rest. There's our break of the 9, hold. 9 candle. Now we're squarely
It's
in
consolidating. Yeah.
There's your break. Here's your hold candle, but it is a red doji. No volume move to the upside. Entry. Break. Hold. Still no entry. Downside. High. I'm on this double bottom. I want to break and hold this. Consequently, is a break and hold below
55.
5.
I find that overlap a lot. Like with that main structure, that 55 usually will come up like in that setup a lot.
Exactly. There's a reason why these indicators are. Once you learn to trust them, you can do some pretty amazing. Walking through this, there's your pull. But again,
Right at
juice worth the
200.
squeeze, right? I'd be looking for the support bounce. Why would I be looking? Well, the 200s here. I've got the bottom of the trend. My indicators are real. VWAP is nowhere to be. So what I'd want to see here is I want to round off in support, break and hold above the 55, and now this on the way back up, but I have miles of room to be. Again, use.
Well, sorry, I want to make sure I understood that last point because I understand that you had that consolidation to the left, right in there, and that you have to work through that. But are you saying that you would consider if it broke above like the 21 and started making movements up, like you consider it and just know that hey, it's going to take a while to chew through that? Is that I don't feel like I understood what you're
What I'm looking for is support bounce off of the bottom of the trend. We are in an uptrend. I want to trade with the trend. I'm going to let this thing figure itself out. Could I made a lot of money through this? Absolutely. Could I got caught by this double bottom and it absolutely ripped my face?
Yep.
We're also got an indicator here, and we just so much happening. For me, with trend, I want to take help to the. I'm going to wait for it to break and hold. Why? Because it's clear of
Gotcha. You just want to get past that support area there, so that then it's now resistance will turn into gotcha.
You can see that in this support area now acting like massive came back up in, tried to break through, and
Booyah. Mm-hmm.
Audrey, yes, these are the indicators for coaches indicators. I'm just zoomed really tightly in. Here's your pull. Forward again. Coming back up into the action area. In. In. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So there's no trade to the upside, and until it breaks all of what this is now called consolidate, break and hold below the 200. But now we need to look left. Right? Happening here. Bottoms here. So where is the price action right now? It's testing support. News candle. I think that was towards the end of the day. That was probably
Yeah.
Now, Audrey, what we're doing is going through break and hold. One of our members was looking at Apple in this chart. The break and hold strategy is the same whether you stocks, crypto, opportunity to look break and hold of the all
Hey, thanks a lot, Doug. I really appreciate it.
that. So did that clear some things up for you?
Yeah, no, it really does, and I really appreciate it.
So here we
Gives me a
are.
lot more. I was gonna say that gives me a lot more things to consider when looking into the trade instead of just saying, "All right, it did it, go." And it's like, oh yeah, you can look left more and
Yeah.
understand what's on the left side of me.
Yeah, always look left. If you don't have your chart charted out where you have those key levels of resistance, definitely want to make sure that you're looking to the left.
Definitely, thank you.
Now, M. White, we're not discussing. We're just going through scalping strategies. Okay, we had another member that wanted to review EWO today on M2K is Earl Russell, and so today had some pretty heavy consolidation through the London session. This is last night all the way through morning in 9 o'clock area. Finally got our manipulation to the upside out of consolidation and full manipulation phase during the new session. Once we broke out of consolidation here, it could not hold. Tried twice to create a new high, up getting a pull. So on the 2 for the 2 2-minute EWO to the downside, your entry criteria would be here. Then you're managing your trade from there. Now, does it mean that you're going to be in an EWO for hours? No, not necessarily. EWO entry criteria is just to provide you with risk-free possible entry. As you can see, we are not only above the 92500, but also VWAP, and very, very important. The only thing that we need to really be concerned about immediately is to the left, this level of here. So looking at that is our impediment to profit. Mark would say your EWO entry on this candle, right? So here's our break, our hold. Here's your EWO entry. This is your candle, shoulder on shoulder with volume. We've got no wick here, no wick on the bottom. Yep, the wickless candle, that's all selling. So phenomenal entry on this particular candle right here with your stop above VWAP. Because if it's going to come up and challenge VWAP and break and hold above VWAP, is longer term play. We want to make sure that we're giving it to work, do its thing. So this particular EWO is relatively short in its entirety. Came down here and we actually had 3 opportunities to, which is pretty rare. Sometimes this thing goes back and whipsaw back up 9 fairly quickly. But in this particular case, this EWO gave us the opportunity to say, yep, this is a short one. And as soon as it broke key level here and closed above, I'd be shedding. At least if I were in, again, a couple of contracts, 2 contracts. Shed point and 1 runner. Could shed here, protect my trade here just in case, and let it work. So the overall move, if entry, now I'm letting it do. I'm watching as it's coming in relationship to the 9. Would be a shed for me here, letting it work. Didn't ever come back to my position, but I'd be protecting at this point over feet. You don't want to protect too much. You don't want it to come back and stop out. And just to allow it to breathe and do its thing. Because so if I did that, then I would be able to capture more of the move to the downside. Messy as this was, my trade's free at this point. I shed over here, came up against this key level, and found rejection. Did not break and hold above that key level that I turned with, which is double bottom that we were breaking through. So we broke it, retested, came up, retested again, came up, retested again, and continued to pull. At this point, we're at the bottom of the trend channel. If I were to pull this back into replay mode, and as soon as we get a break and hold above the 9, because the 21 is so close, that would be my out. EWO entry, stop, first shed. Okay. Sense for it. Audrey, yes, do I trade stocks? No, I don't. I only trade futures. Like, it's my everyone over on the TikTok, please make sure that you type in hashtag IP. That tells the algorithm where you come in from, where we appeared on, and that helps push the app. Tap that screen for me, please. At least 10K. for the likes up to 10K, so the rest of the just sell it. Just got the premium for the year. Excited to get rocking. That's awesome. Congratulations. Joined in. Tell you what, the premium membership gets you access to some pretty impressive training moderation. Without naming names, absolutely incredible. Pulled the trigger. That being said, we have some specials running right now. We've got our 7-day free trials on not only premium crypto, but also futures. 7 days free access to our training mods and our live Zooms. Our live Zooms for futures runs 8:30 a.m. EST to 4 o'clock EST. And our VIP Zoom and our premium Zoom, the premium members get access to the Zoom at 8:45 in the morning EST, 4 p.m. EST, whereas our VIP members get access to the Zoom at 4 a.m. EST, pre-market trading, pre-market hot stocks, and has access all the way until EST. 12 hours of training every day, 5 days a week for our VIP members. For our premium members, 8:30 to 4 every 5 days a week. If you go to VIP Gold, which one of our sales right now is if you buy 1 year of VIP, you can get VIP Gold for that same year for free. That then gets you access to 2 days a week of Gold Breakout training, which is specified and directed specifically at stocks and options, and going over trades, opportunities for entries, so on and so forth. Trade review, the whole work. So it's a small classroom type scenario, and it's essentially a one-on-one our training. Outside of that, Gold also has access to Saturday Gold training with David, our EWO master trainer. Holds those sessions every Saturday from 11 a.m. EST 12. And outside of that, you've got our futures membership, 12 months of futures. If you were to get that right now, you would also get 12 months of futures VIP for free. And the VIP gets you a 7th day of training with myself on Sunday, where I open up at 5 p.m. EST, an hour before market open for futures, and we trade futures and train in futures for the next 3 hours. So here at ADT, if you have the wherewithal and Diamond membership, you get access to 7 days of training every single, along with newsletters for futures and Gold members. Tremendous value. Not really sure I'm going to say this correctly, but over on TikTok, Moanella, no directions today? No, chop. Really choppy today. Been a couple of moves that we could have taken. There was a really nice move at the beginning of the market today, where it was clean. This was the cleanest move all day. The rest of the time, it was trying to break through indicators, and it was consolidating hard, and we get this pop and then lots of wicks. This was the cleanest, most risk-free move all day long. The rest of it was ripe for scalpers. Some of the EWO's opportunities here. Excuse me. EWO opportunity on this one on M2K to the downside did end up paying off. Entry was pretty precarious as we had the previous day high. We had here. I mean, this thing could have whipsawed back at you pretty handily, and it did just that. But if your entry is here and your stop is above VWAP, it never touched VWAP. So you could have ridden this all the way down using coach's directions. Doesn't break and hold above VWAP, trade. your first shed point would have been here. That's 50% of your trade. If your next shed point would have been here, 20% of your trade. Here, 20. Now you got a 10% runner. Breaks and holds above the 21. That's how we train to manage. Okay, do we have any other questions? Anything you guys want to take a peek at?
Hey, good afternoon, Doug. It's Kevin.
Brother?
You too. That was very educational. Glad that question was asked. I had a question on the EWO alerts,
Okay.
that come through the bot.
Hmm?
And I'm looking at some of them, to try to answer my own question, to kind of see where some of those might be a good one or a bad one. I'm not looking at the reds. I'm only looking at the greens because that's where I'm starting, as instructed. But I had a question on, something that you may look at, to kind of, well, I know you can't quantify, but, at least give you a better prediction or, uh, you know, confirmation, if you will.
You want to pick on one?
Well, yeah, I mean, I just recently looked at the last one that came through for stocks, and that was a SPY first, and that one
I
was
over here. I over here on the. What time was that at? Recent?
at 318 was the alert.
What was the alert for? Down you said to the positive, right?
Yeah, it was a green SPY first.
So much like, I'll show you here real quick, and then we'll pop over to what it literally is. So at the 318.
That's when the alert came through. Yes.
So what I want you to do is take a look at the UO.
Hmm.
See the volume. No
Yeah,
continuation to it. Whereas if you look
right.
left, you've got bars that are growing in volume. It's ugly as sin of trying to break through all the indicators. But
Right.
what you're looking for is volume bars to stacking on top of each other. Bigger. We have low volume right here, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This will be the 6th color change. So the EWO alert will tell you when the second bar is forming for the EWO. That's basically, I'm sorry, the first bar is, you got time to get into it, look, good position. Just because you get an EWO alert doesn't mean it's,
Right.
you need to look at, you need to read the room, as we would say. So as the EWO alert was kicking off, it was probably on this candle here, green candle. Yep, that would have been your alert right there. So things to consider. I'm on the
And it's in the
2-minute
middle
chart.
of the channel as well. Kind of
Diddling
approaching
in the
a
middle.
double top.
Diddling in the middle, you bet. So what you would want to see here is you want to see volume off of this candle. This is your first bar. The second bar, you want to see break and hold above VWAP. By that time, you this double and this.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So we got a good signal to the upside. We got a nice push on this. Why the EWO kicked off. Problem being that you had equal pull right out of the gate, and it handle was golfing. Stretch this equal body to. So no strength to the upside, no. Right here, the EWO bar is smaller than the next one or the previous. And what is the entry on an EWO bar?
Has to
Must
be larger,
larger.
larger. Okay.
Now, not to say that you get a break and hold of the 9, you can take this over to the pretty nice set up for a scalp.
Right. I'm
Right?
not there yet.
Right.
Yeah.
So here, let's do the same thing. Yes.
So when you say
this is the future of it.
the future, okay, gotcha.
This is the futures contract. This is the micro ES, so this is the micro contract of 500. But when coach is trading, yes, he actually has the SPY chart up, which is kind of fun to watch him trade that way because he's actually watching the SPY chart and trading on.
Oh, no kidding. Okay, that's wild.
Yeah, I know.
And
So
is
here
he
we
doing
are.
that all through Weeble, both charts?
Yes, yes. So what he'll do, the trade of 8. Here's the Weeble. Okay. So what he'll do is his setup, he'll have main chart, got it all handle scale. He's got a big monitor.
Right.
And underneath that, he'll have a couple of more charts over here, and they're relatively small. Just looking at momentum, doesn't really have anything on it. Over here, he'll have SPY. So he'll be trading ES up here and have SPY down here. Have
650.
Apple over.
Which one is the faster indicator?
Pardon?
So the SPY or the ES, which one is a faster indicator?
I honestly, watching him do that, I'm flabbergasted. I wouldn't be able to. I have a hard time watching one chart. He's been
That's
doing
why
this for 33 years, so he's got the mechanics. He's got it all down.
Yeah, I took a screenshot of like one of the training videos that he put out. Not sure how long ago it was, but it was quite daunting to look at with all of the little mini windows that he had open. I tried studying it, and I'm like, oh, I'll get there one day, not today.
I don't know. The way that I look at it, he's been trading SPY for so long. He knows the upside. Amazing one on a daily.
Yeah.
We're all very excited to be back on Monday. Really get back to the morning. You miss him.
Yeah,
Week
I know.
thoughts. Mark as well.
Yeah.
Had a hard.
Yeah. It's hopefully that's it. And there, things like that usually come in threes sometimes. So hopefully that's not the case.
I'm not gonna put it.
Yeah.
Moving on. Hoping that the test is over and.
Yeah. I got a question on the alerts again.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Netflix around the same time, it came in on a 1 and then immediately a 2. So could you explain what that's recognizing in that scenario? Yeah, and this was on the stock bot. Let's see. I think it was the same time. So the Netflix 1 to the red side, to the downside, was at 310, and then at 318 it came in on the downside on Netflix on the second EUL. Netflix
Oh yeah.
and
We had
FLX.
we had a couple in we had a couple of members creating the news on that,
Right. Yeah.
the buyout.
Right.
And what an absolute move out of the open and yank right as soon as it came out. Government was, even though they
Right.
prior to. Yeah, what a great EWO to the upside. Crypto. Beautiful EWO to the upside. Entry here in the break and hold. Want to make sure that you clear the 200. You don't want to pop back at you. EWO entry, I would have waited just a couple more candles and scalp. As long as it respected the 9, which it did, to the upside, start to see weakness. Head percent of your position if you want to. Breaks and hold below the 9, you can shed again. Breaks and hold below the 21, out. Because now you want to get into this thing to the downside. We got our 921 cross right here, but we've got an impact. Break and hold. 100. So the entry to the downside move, all of this, clear all of this entries.
And that's for scalp. Okay. Back at
EWO entry to the downside. Would have had to sit through consolidation. But if you're using your stops appropriately and you've got, in this particular case, 5 to 40%, right? Up here above this high, of that rejection off 9 there. Letting it work. Once you get clearance and you get below VWAP and all this kind of stuff, move your stop up. Because as long as it doesn't break and hold above VWAP again, you're good to go. Never saw.
back at 215, 210, on the green up EWO, through that short little, I mean, it looks like it's almost starting consolidation, but it doesn't, like if you're looking at it at the time. So I hear a lot of feedback where I should have stayed in longer, I should have let it ride. This is where that 50% might come in at that point if you have multiple contracts.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
At that time. Okay.
So, 2 EWO entries on this particular ticker today that we were tracking based on news, and you're shedding on this particular one. This would be your first shed here. Again, where's VWAP? It's way up here. So you can let this thing run. So this is 50% shed on an EWAP. Percent. You got your 10% running like crazy. Right? So again, as this is working and doing its thing, has not broken up and held above VWAP, has touched it yet. So
Right.
as this
You would
comes
not
around,
be out. You
Mm-mm.
would not be out until that point, correct?
not on your last percent, coach, still in this
Yep.
trade. That last 10% is still making you $2.10 per share. That's huge.
And how many shares were in that span? Oh,
Look, just looking at EWA, overall dollar move, whether you whatever you're trading, because it's a stock, you on your position. If this were a futures contract, you'd be selling off. Had a really beautiful move on the Japanese yen. Here's a currency. We got two wonderful EWOs right here. Okay, so entry on the EWO for the Japanese yen, right here. Entry. You can see.
is that the?
What?
I was just wondering when that market opened. I see, so close to midnight there. Is that when?
Our market opens 6 o'clock p.m. EST.
for
Closes it for trading. Closes it. I'm sorry, 5 p.m. So from 6 p.m. to 5 p.m. the following day, 23 hours of.
Gotcha.
So
All right.
if you are trading different markets, or different sessions, this would be 310 last night. This was during the Asian session. Right? Typically, what we see during the Asian session is or I'm sorry, we would call consolidation, accumulation, and then you'd see a manipulation leg. One came down and broke the key level, came down, found support. So this would have been a relatively difficult one not to shed here. But as long as it's staying above the 9, affecting the 9, this is your EWO entry right here at this line. And you could take that with your stop. Your stop would be down here below the low. Okay. Way below. I mean, if you wanted to get super tight with it, you could put it up here. Just the idea here is to put it below and
I
then,
see that. Okay.
right? And then as you're working this, you get freaked out here because we don't have freaks. Your price action. So these gamma candles to the upside acceleration. Normally, if this were David in an Apple EWO, he'd be selling the snot out of his positions. Sucker is coming up quickly. Does not want opposite side of that loss, profit down. So we don't need to deal with that in futures. All we need to do is make sure on an EWO that it's respecting the 9 on the way, whatever direction we're going. And in this up, so we're long. Stop down here, and as soon as we get clear of that and have our retest of the 9 and 21 here, we can move our stop up, protect our trade. It never looked back. Okay, so where are our shed points? Well, if you got nervous and a little itchy, scratchy, you could shed. Not the upside of somebody. But definitely shed a little bit here. So say you shed off 50% here. Next pullback here because it was respecting the 9. There's no reason to shed here. Break and hold to the 9. Here's a shed. 10% is the runner. So as long as you are above particular case, your buy position protected and here's VWAP. Can't really use VWAP as our out in this particular case because we're so far above it. But what I'd be looking for here is a 10% runner is as long as it didn't lose too much strength and break below 5. Now there's a lot of money here. So your threshold pain, you're going to be riding those emotions. But if you let the runners run, do what coach is training you to do, then the next time this comes in and it breaks and holds below the 21 with a 9 cross.
Oh yeah. Right.
2020, 10% runner, 921 cross, break, hold below, out. You would have gotten out here, you would have given up all of that profitability. That's what coach is trying to get. Let your runners run, stop out the losers. Select on 50, 20, 20, 10% runner, that's your on the way up, your runners.
Hey Doug, I'm in the early stages, so I'm looking at the candles, the 14 candle patterns that was recommended to look into. Are you seeing in any one of those shed points, are you seeing anything not emotional but technical that's
Structural?
telling you, yeah, like it's still, I mean, I know it's an uptrend there after the fact, but like even in that first dip, after I can't see what
I'm
time
gonna
it was.
I'm gonna zoom in. Yes, the pattern here. Give me. So what I'd be looking. This is a 2-minute time frame for everyone that's watching. EWO is the. So, were there any structural things? Ugly. There it is. So we have a high, right? Came up, high, retrace back down middle. What is that? Up.
It's oh.
Come up into resistance, come back and recheck support, which typically 50% of the overall pattern from top to bottom. Here's our handle, and here's our top. Now, as long as it breaks and holds above the high and creates that new high, that is our.
Would a cup and handle be considered structure?
Yes. Cup and handle is a bullish pattern. And it's ugly. I mean, it's not great. But the first thing that I'd be looking at in the indicators better is I'm looking for on. See that? You have a
And
hard
that's mid.
You have a hard stop on this candle. Candle.
Mhm.
And we have rejection here. So this is it. This is, and I'd be looking for continued support here. If it came down any further, challenged and created a double bottom, that doesn't. But because it came down, found support on this large move, it's slightly below 50% move of that candle. Here's where our support is. As long as it found support there and then continued to push up, still in the trade. This would be a decision point. Broken held below that, I'd probably.
Oh, okay.
Because now it's breaking structure. It breaks low and down, break a structure, and
Can you put the indicators up so I can see how they correlate with that point of out? Oh yeah, okay. Broke the 55, broke the 9,
Mhm.
and touched the halfway point.
So if it broke and held below this, came down here and challenged the bottom, still had strength to the downside where it wanted to check. I'd definitely be shedding here, but that kind of move that quickly after creating a bottom like this, depending on the pace at how quickly it came down to that point, would give me more information, right? It just kind of petered its way down here and then said, well, I'm just going to hang out and consolidate and then finally get a move up. That doesn't tell me that it's going to be a bearish move, finding support. If it comes down here in one candle, then the next candle's on the shoulder to the downside, breaks, even if I get a wick here, I'll look
Can
for
you
I'll look for re-entry.
re-entry? Can you zoom out on that drawing? Oh. So what I'm looking for in this instance, where you were getting all those indicators to get out, is if that was at the bottom of any trend line, which I don't really see that it was.
We'd have to pull
Okay.
this.
No. Downward trend, if anything.
So in 6J, for whatever reason, coaches indicators because of how 6 he has them. So you can take 2 standard deviations away. Trend was probably now without coaches indicators. We really need to be able to draw these trends. Do that. Take your trend from your low. 3 touches minimum. And I use the bodies. I don't use wicks. Wicks are a moment in time. They do not depict overall.
Yeah.
And then I'd be looking at, here's my touch point here and here, top between. So the overall trend to the upside is definitely sharper based on higher points. I tend to use an under trend on the, because I'm looking at support. I really don't care about the top side. So I want to see this thing respect overall trend to the upside. So I've got support here. I've got my trend line here, show the overall move. And
You're below 55, you're below 9. So yeah, there's a lot of
turning these things back on.
So,
you can see that it respects overall trend. Continue that shift pattern. Comes down and hits the trend line again. Here's your break of structure. Finding support. Now, here's the key. We break trend to the downside, broke trend here, found support off the 5. We came back up. Now the trend line is going to act like, in order for a continued upside, I want to see a break and hold of the 9, get away from this level that it got stuck, break above. And it came. And we're
well, yeah, that's a huge jump.
so at this particular juncture, break and hold of the 9, which is our favorite scalp strategy. We have the previous day high right here. We have the break of the 9, hold of the 9, and on this candle, you get in on here with your in a couple of different places. We have a key level here that we level here. So in this particular case, I'd be this low, B levels, and below the 9 and the 20. Okay. And at that point, I get a huge pop to the upside. I move my up, affect my trade, and now it's free.
Can I ask a question right there on risk about risk management and your profit margin? So where you have your stop space there, just below, looks like the orange line, which is the 200, I believe.
55.
Oh, that's the 55. Okay. So if you were entering that trade at the top line on the green body, I want to go, you know, I'm going to do smaller increments, right? I'm trying to protect my trade. I'm trying to make
Right.
sure I'm not over leveraging myself based on my capital that I have. So you put it down there. Would that fall within a 2% parameter? Or would that depend on what I'm
Percentage is hard in futures because we deal in ticks. We're dealing, and we can't sell fractionally out of a position. 50% of our sell fractional. So we're selling contracts. So what you want to do with your account is you want to make sure that the risk is right. Now in this particular case, you have 8 ticks on. So 8 ticks on 6J. We're here. Tick fluctuation. A lot of zeros and a 5. You're not going to be able to trade. So the minimum fluctuation being what it is at $6.25 per tick. So at 8 ticks on this protection, that's $50.
From top to bottom there.
From your entry to your stop where you're protected.
Gotcha.
8 ticks, not much. You're outside twice ATR at this point, which is you're well outside of this thing in a normal candle breathe movement, well outside of that. And once you base and break level, here, this is double top, we broke that. Once you get that, then you come in and say, all right, well, I'm going to protect the trade.
Right.
With a couple of ticks to get past my.
That's a beautiful point of the trade when you can do that.
Exactly.
It's like a
and we just let it do its thing. So you collect up here, breaks trend on the way down, and you're full out as soon as it breaks and start showing you weak. Quick scalp.
So as far as mechanics go, I need to be able to take that measurement, realize where my stop should be, and trade it at the same time. That's where the mechanics and getting familiar with what buttons to press when come in.
That's why when we have new traders come into the futures area, we say pick a ticker. Learn it. Breathes. Understand what news affects it. A in the hour interest rate. When the Fed rate interest rate discussions come around, those are the ones we're watching.
Right.
Because the Russell is your small caps, so that's small businesses. Interest rates are extremely important to us. So that's reflected in the Dow volatility. So when those numbers come out, we're definitely watching. Are ES and NQ affected? Of course they are. It's going to be market-wide impact on those high impact. So when you're talking about tech stocks, right? You get tech stock volatility, then you start talking about regulations that affect tech stocks and so forth. Big T word, where we have somebody collecting certain something from other countries, causing all kinds of and volatility in the market. When those discussions come out and talking about that, well, now NQ gets really volatile because NQ is heavily weighted on the tech side, being the top one companies. Most of those are heavy. Anytime you have any tech market, and really, ES is a little bit more stable, only because the S&P 500 is the top 500 company. Are there tech stocks in? Yes, there are, but they're also diluted by the rest of offering or the way that 500 is structured. So you don't get as much volatility. Bubble boom. You do get some, but it's not as you would be. So understanding your indices, the ticker, what news events, what impacts, really what's going to provide you with better platform trade decisions as far as exit. And
Can I ask you about the indices? And, obviously news is an important factor of preparation. I believe I read that the indices can, eliminate or bring in different tech companies or various companies, sort of at a moment's notice. Is there any type of trend in which they do that? Should I get granular on exactly how many tech companies are in the NASDAQ or at any given point now?
keep it simple. Breaking it. And I had a discussion with one of our members, pretty powerful, and stuff. We say jokingly, we only got a couple of minutes live, and then when we're talking about trading, working within the indicators chart and what not to chart, it's extremely important to keep it as tops, bottoms, major levels of charting. That's where price action hang around a lot. You want to make sure those are at. Outside of that, it's break and hold of the 9 for anything else that's complicate that particular those strategies. Avoid it like the news
Gotcha.
events.
Okay.
Stay away from news events as a new trader, right? You can paper trade them, journal them, so on and so forth. I'm sorry, core PC. It was a nothing. But when you have high impact news events like, want to either get some experience trading them, paper trade first, and then make sure you pretty much it. Real quick, we are running up on 4 o'clock. Dawn is up next for the aftermarket show. Thank you everyone for joining me. I appreciate your time, your efforts, and your questions. See you next time, Monday, 2 to 4 at, Monday, 2 to 4 with Mark back by. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Doug.
Thank
You're
you,
very
Doug.
welcome.